We're back from a week off, which has allowed some time for reflection among the Other Side Brains Trust. And I got to tell you folks, things look kind of crazy right now. So in Sydney and Melbourne last weekend, we could see for ourselves the depth and extremity of quite radical Islamism in Australia. After the killing of Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of the Iran-backed terrorist organisation that hangs out in South Lebanon around Israel's northern border, Hezbollah, some people coming out into the streets to mourn the death of Nasrallah. Have a listen to this young woman addressing a crowd at Sydney Town Hall.
Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, was murdered yesterday. This is a war crime. And Israel proves once again it will violate all rules for engagement and act with full impunity.
Now, there's been a big kerfuffle this week, right? Because they want to protest again on the anniversary of October the 7th. Do you think, guys, that you could just leave one day alone? Do you think you could just show some respect on one day to the Jewish community and to the Israeli community? Just for one day, you know, and not, they want to march past the synagogue. I mean, give us a break. And let's just be very clear about who Nasrallah is. He led the Hezbollah militia for more than 3 decades. And Hezbollah is listed as a terrorist organisation in Australia. The group protesting in Sydney were also mourning the death 2 months ago of Ismail Haniyeh. And he was the political chief of that other delightful Iran-backed terrorist group in Gaza to Israel's south, Hamas.
This comes following the murder of Haniyeh, the former stronghold on the negotiations of a ceasefire.
So she and many in this crowd are mourning the deaths of leaders of 2 of the world's worst terrorist groups, Hamas and Hezbollah. Can you believe this? Crowds also gathered for vigils at 3 Sydney mosques on Monday night to pay tribute to Nasrallah. And did you catch the Greens flag there in the video? Yep, this protest was fully endorsed by the Greens. Greens Senator Mehreen Faruqi was at the protest in Sydney. She is the deputy leader of the Australian Greens, Australia's 4th largest political party. Or is it 3rd now? There are 2 Greens in the Queensland State Parliament up for re-election in a few weeks. Please remember that when you vote Green. You are not voting for the environment. You're voting for radical leftism and radical Islamism disguised as an environmental party. And then there was this report from your ABC's afternoon briefing.
Also at home, police investigations are underway into whether criminal laws were broken by protesters who bore Hezbollah flags and images in the big Australian cities yesterday. As a listed terrorist organisation, that's not supposed to have happened. And it might not have happened had it not been for the latest onslaught of bombing by Israel in Lebanon. As it took out Hezbollah's leadership, we will get some analysis.
So Israel's responsible for the protests in Australia, right? Okay. And Israel was responsible for the thousands of rockets that were fired upon it by Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran, I suppose. I mean, could you twist the narrative any further, guys? Really? It's bad enough having an ideologically driven, biased national broadcaster in peacetime. It's downright dangerous in a time of war. Let's hope there's no war on the horizon involving us or any of our major allies. In any case, Peter Dutton was rightly having none of the ABC's nonsense this week when he copped this ridiculous question about Hezbollah.
What, sorry?
What determines the fact that Hezbollah is a terrorist organisation, even though many...
Where are you from, I'm sorry? Which organisation?
ABC.
ABC. So what's the question from the ABC, just to be very clear?
I just wanted to find out because groups have commented on the hip hop.
No, but you asked about the listing of the organisation. I just didn't understand that question, sorry.
Yeah, so...
This is a question from Canberra, is it? You're reading it from the
no,
phone?
So I just wanted to ask, in terms of looking into that for the investigation, you've asked the Prime Minister and the Minister to direct the AFB in its investigation.
No, that wasn't the question you asked. What was the question you asked?
I just wanted to
No, you asked the question about the listing, so I just want
Yeah.
you to just ask that question again.
Could just sort of explain what determines something as a terrorist organisation?
Well, I had presumed up until this point at least that the ABC supported the government's laws, and the government has passed laws supported on a bipartisan basis, but not by the ABC, it seems, in relation to the prescribing or the listing of a terrorist organisation. Hezbollah, under Australian law, is a listed terrorist organisation. Now, if the ABC doesn't support that, they should be very clear about it, because I think that's quite a departure. But you asked me why our country has listed Hezbollah. They're a terrorist organisation. They organise terrorist attacks. And if that is not clear to the ABC, then I think the ABC is in greater trouble than even I first imagined.
That clip from Sky News via Rebel News, that was Tuesday. Now, a little update on that story. The Journalists Union, which is really a bigger than Journalists Union, the Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance, has come out since and made a declaration condemning Peter Dutton for bullying that journalist. Now, if that was bullying, we've lost the plot. That's not bullying. That's just standing up and saying, sorry, repeat the question, ask the question you asked, and showing the ABC up for what it is. And isn't that young woman strong enough and capable enough to be able to handle that? Isn't that the narrative we're always told, that women are strong and capable? Why is she suddenly being a victim in this situation so quickly? The Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance, by the way, is a left-wing organisation. It's a left-wing leftist union, and it's not appropriate that journalists be members of such a union. We need to get back to the Australian Journalists Association. We need an independent professional body for journalists that's politically balanced. If journalists need to have an association and join one. The MEAA, I don't believe, does much for journalism. So this is very serious stuff, folks. We've got to decide on our moral position in this country. Can you imagine if there were people marching in Sydney and Melbourne after the death of Osama bin Laden with framed photos of him mourning his death, or worse, the Bali bomber? If we can't have moral clarity when it comes to who the good guys are and who the bad guys are, when you're talking about terrorist organisations backed by a violent authoritarian dictatorship like Iran, then we have seriously lost our moral compass as a nation, and we stand for nothing. It's not hard to blame our federal government for that when you have our Prime Minister lecturing Benjamin Netanyahu about how he should prosecute this war.
I say to Prime Minister Netanyahu that he needs to listen to the international community, just like the other players in that region need to listen to the international community. The calls are very clear.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Netanyahu will be prioritising that advice. File that under I don't GAF, would you please? This, of course, has nothing to do with the Muslim Votes voting bloc in southwestern Sydney. Nothing whatsoever. And if that wasn't enough, the Foreign Affairs Minister Penny Wong addressed the United Nations, scolding Israel about rules of engagement and lecturing it on how it must handle this war.
Yet the only hope to finally break the endless cycle of violence for a secure, prosperous future for Palestinians and Israelis is a Palestinian state alongside the State of Israel. And the international community, including this Security Council, must work together to pave a path to lasting peace. We cannot wait for the parties to do this themselves, and we cannot allow any party to obstruct the prospect of peace.
Ah, okay. Penny's got it all sorted, folks. All good. There'll be a two-state solution, and Israel just have to suck it up and deal with neighbours who want them wiped off the map, attacking them every so often. I'm glad we've got all that worked out. Thank you very much, Penny. Arsen Ostrovsky is an Israeli-Australian human rights lawyer who currently serves as CEO of the International Legal Forum, the ILF, an Israel-based global network of lawyers and activists across 40 countries. They've been at the forefront of advocating for Israel, especially in the wake of the October 7 attack. Now, he's got more than 300,000 followers on X, and he had this response to Senator Wong this week. Dear Australia, You are surrounded by water. Your biggest concerns are which beer to drink and not getting hit by a kangaroo crossing the street. Israel is surrounded by jihadists on every border, seeking our annihilation. So please take your advice and stuff it. Fair call, mate. I mean, I wonder if those uni students piling hate on Israel would be feeling the same way if Papua New Guinea was regularly lobbing missiles into Townsville and Brisbane, and New Zealand was firing thousands of rockets into Sydney and Melbourne? Yeah, probably not. Have we become so outrageously multicultural that we have no cultural identity or backbone whatsoever? Have we become so open-minded that our brains have fallen out? It sometimes feels like it these days. I don't want war. Nobody wants war. Nobody wants to see kids killed and innocent men and women dying. And the world has had plenty of sympathy for the Palestinian people. But too many still want Israel wiped off the map from the river to the sea. And they make no secret of it. They chant it loudly in the streets and capitals of the nations that have graciously accepted them and their religious and ethnic brotherhood as migrants. Israel isn't going away, and its right to exist is morally and historically justifiable. They returned autonomy to Gaza in 2005. The people then voted for Hamas over Fatah. Big mistake. And I know they might not have had much choice in that. But Hamas, instead of building a shining city of prosperity by the sea, used the wealth donated by friends to build tunnels and bombs. And they launch attacks, like the one that happened 1 year ago this week. And then they wonder why they face retaliation. And remember, Hamas and Hezbollah are proxies for Iran. And the Iranian leadership and its terrifying military arm, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, are not a nice bunch of people. It might surprise some spoilt lefty Australian brats at university, but they don't give a rat's about your pronouns. With all the government crackdown on freedom of speech and digital IDs and marketing companies manipulating your information, you would be crazy not to have a virtual private network on your laptop and phone. In fact, all of your devices. I was once a bit afraid of how these things work, that they might, slow down my internet speed or be too complicated to set up. But private internet access is terrific. And when you buy from them, you're supporting the other side too, because they're one of our sponsors. So to help keep yourself safe from big government and big corporations with a VPN, get onto private internet access. We have done a fantastic deal just for other side viewers. You're going to get 83% off the usual price and 4 months free. That brings it down to just $2.68 a month, a half a cup of coffee. It's amazing. You just got to use the special access code that you can see on your screen right now. That is piavpn.com, piavpn.com/other side, and you'll get that discount if you do that, okay? It's super easy to download, super easy to get running. Literally just takes a few minutes, and it's always on. It didn't slow down my internet speed one bit. And a side benefit is that I can now watch Netflix using my Netflix account as if I'm in any country in the world, which opens up the whole global Netflix library to me. And best of all, by using PIA, you're supporting the other side in a very big way and helping us to keep on providing an alternative to the mainstream media focused on Aussie news. piavpn.com/other side. Get on it. If you like that clip, there's more where that came from in our full show, The Other Side. You can watch it right here, the latest episode. And please subscribe to our channel by pressing the subscribe button right here or down here. And remember to click that notification bell too. It all helps. Join us and become part of The Other Side.